The world's top assassins are gathered in a luxurious hotel to kill the king of assassins. The prize is $10 million, but here's the catch. The client and the target are the same person.
I will kill you.
On the brink of death, Marcus remembers the image of his wife and hears his daughter's voice. But let's go back to Chicago, 1 year before these events unfold. At first glance, Marcus Garin, an ordinary office clerk, enters a city bar to have a few drinks. Noticing a group of vacationing businessmen heading to the restroom, Marcus follows them, and in a matter of minutes, he manages to eliminate them all and take photographs of his work. Afterward, he returns to his workshop, removes his disguise, and sends the photo report, receiving a new assignment in return. Back at home, Marcus transforms into a loving family man, caring for his beautiful wife, Carla, and their little daughter, Kimberly. Garin plans to spend the evening with his wife to celebrate their anniversary, but before that, he needs to take care of all his work matters. While Carla applies her evening makeup, Marcus disguises his face for another mission, unaware that someone has sent his wife the address of a restaurant where supposedly dinner is reserved. The killer himself arrives a little earlier and, not noticing his wife, heads to a private room to eliminate a group of gangsters gathered around a card table. The task proves to be challenging, but Marcus manages to complete it. In that moment, he hears his wife's voice from behind the door. Opening it, he sees that Carla has become an unintended victim caught in the crossfire. A year later, Marcus is tormented by nightmares of his wife's death. Carla's mother tries to help, reminding him that he is a father and must take care of their daughter. However, Marcus's sole focus becomes finding those who sent the invitation to the restaurant to his wife. Marcus receives an exclusive offer to eliminate the world's best assassin in exchange for a substantial sum. The mercenary decides not to rush with his answer, intending to first celebrate Kimberly's birthday and conclude his investigation. On the same evening, the client appears at Marcus's secret apartment and asks him not to decline the offer. The amount his boss is willing to pay for the elimination of the renowned Dracos will allow Garin to never worry about money again and not deny anything to his daughter. Interrupting Marcus's contemplation, a call comes from the hospital where Kimberly has been admitted due to heart problems. Realizing that he now needs money for an expensive operation, Garin reluctantly accepts the dangerous contract. Marcus visits his former boss, Robert, explaining the situation with Kimberly's illness and asking for help. He needs a complete dossier on Dracos and any information available about him. Arriving in Tokyo, Marcus meets the client and checks into the most expensive hotel. There, he learns that this time he won't be working alone. Assessing the danger posed by Dracos, the client has assembled a team of experienced mercenaries. On a large screen, the main client appears. After welcoming the mercenaries, he reads out the dossier on each of them and declares the rules. This will not be a simple contract. It will be a competition with only one winner. One of the mercenaries refuses to participate, considering it a foolish game, but his objections are ignored and his head explodes into pieces. However, that is not the only surprise. At the end of the presentation, the client reveals himself to be Jorg Dracos and expresses his desire to compete against the strongest opponents. Dracos gives the killers a day for rest and training, offering them the full advantages of the hotel. But when time runs out, the hunt will begin, and each one will have to fight for their life. Dracos' assistant turns off the screen and advises the guests not to waste time, reminding them that they are constantly being watched. Once in the room, Marcus tries to find cameras and bugs, but his activity is interrupted by Asha, a female killer whom Garin once fought against. Asha suggests a truce and an exchange of information, but Marcus admits that he will only play for himself. In the evening, a tea ceremony is arranged for the participants, which could be the last for one of them. Not all mercenaries risk drinking the beverage sent by Dracos. Marcus leaves the room to answer his daughter's call and wish her a good night. Asha overhears their tender conversation, and as soon as Marcus hangs up, she attacks him to eliminate her competitor. The killers fight in front of unsuspecting guests, and Marcus emerges as the winner, sparing Asha's life and deciding to focus on the main goal. The other killers also make good use of their time, each finding their own way to gather strength. Deciding to get a good night's sleep, Marcus once again dreams of his wife's death and Kimberly lying in a hospital bed. In the morning, Dracos' assistant gathers the players in his office again and hands them suitcases with state-of-the-art weapons. He then proposes that each of them draw a coin to determine the order of their encounters with opponents. Marcus gets number 1, but his colleague Andre swaps numbers with him, hoping to prolong Marcus's life for a chance to see his daughter. The other participants watch the opponent's encounter on the screen, but the fight turns out to be very short. Dracos justifies his title as the most dangerous killer and skillfully eliminates Andre, putting on quite a show. The players lose the optimism with which they entered the hunt, and Marcus suggests changing tactics, calling for a collective battle where they can act together. Dracos doesn't like Garen's proposal, but in order to maintain his title as the king, he agrees to accept the challenge. The only condition he sets is that only 4 players should remain, and they must eliminate the 5th themselves. Taking advantage of Marcus's distraction, Rick attacks him, but Garen fends off the attack, and Asher stops the fight, revealing that Cord has left the office to face Dracos alone and not put the team in a difficult position. The elevator takes the strongman to the desired floor, and the participants hold their breath, watching his movements. This time, the opponent turns out to be prepared for the encounter with Dracos, and the king strikes back. Despite this, Dracos proves to be stronger, and Cord dies without inflicting any serious injuries on Jorg. The remaining 4 hunters receive their weapons and enter the elevator. As soon as the doors open, a noise grenade disorients the entire group. Asher doesn't manage to leave the cabin, and the elevator takes her away from the others. Marcus finds Ren, and the 2 of them set off to search for their opponent, but they have to separate due to the traps set by the king. Meanwhile, Asher starts to get nervous, realizing that Dracos spared no expense on decorations, making it extremely difficult to find him. While the king tightens a rope around the girl's neck, Marcus encounters an additional opponent, an Asian woman who is a virtuoso with swords. The 2 pairs fight simultaneously in different locations, and once again, Marcus has better luck than his companion. He eliminates the Asian woman, while Asher finds herself at the mercy of Dracos, receiving a deadly blow. Garen finds his girlfriend's body and informs Ren that she is no longer alive. Ren doesn't have time to react as he comes face to face with Dracos, planning to avenge his father's death. Marcus tries to find Ren, but he is occupied in battle and cannot respond. Soon enough, Garen also loses communication. Not wanting to work as a team, Rick attacks his colleagues in an attempt to become the sole winner and not share the spoils with anyone. Ren manages to wound the king and disarm him, preparing for a hand-to-hand fight. Meanwhile, the strongman Rick starts to gain the upper hand. Gripping Garen's head, Rick is ready to make a final move and end the fight. The memory of his daughter gives Marcus strength. Breaking free from the hold, he sends Rick into the ventilation, tearing him apart. Ren is unable to defeat the king. He dies honorably, like a true samurai. Upon seeing his friend's body, Marcus sets out to find Dracos to avenge everyone he has destroyed. The king meets his final opponent, sitting in a chair and recounting the legend of assassins. Dracos admits that he has always admired Marcus and his strength, but despite this, he wants to prove that there is only one king in the world of killers. Despite the noble speech, Dracos acts unfairly. Grabbing a hidden gun, he unexpectedly opens fire on the unarmed opponent, but Marcus manages to dodge and find cover. Behind the counter, he unexpectedly discovers an arsenal of weapons and manages to return fire, disarming his opponent and preparing for victory. Refusing to surrender, the king extinguishes the lights and, distracting Garen with a light show, he begins to talk about the death of Carla and the possibility of Kimberly becoming an orphan. The plan works. Marcus avoids the strike and gets the upper hand. A scuffle ensues between them, during which Garen sustains several more injuries, but despite this, he manages to seat the king on the throne, leaving him there forever. Just a second before a shard of glass pierces Dracos, Marcus feels the barrel of a gun against the back of his head, and Dracos' assistant asks him to remove his hands from his boss. Marcus is handed a card with access to the promised sum of money and some mementos. Additionally, Dracos asks Garen to become his partner and fight against a major criminal organization that could destroy the world. 6 months later, Marcus picks up his daughter from the hospital after a successful operation, and the family spends quality time together. However, Marcus's mood is spoiled by a message from an anonymous sender. He sees a recording in which his boss and good friend Robert shoot his wife. Dracos sits at Marcus's table having obtained the video and repeats his offer, clarifying that Robert has long been working for this organization. In the end, the new king agrees to confront the gang, requesting a couple of days to resolve his family issues. And he doesn't even realize that Andre has been miraculously resurrected after a deadly battle. And at this point, the film ends.